Hello everyone, my name is Havian and today I'll be playing Zanki Zero Last Beginning. Zanki Zero is a survival dungeon RPG from Spike Chunsoft, and according to the title screen, some other company called Lank Arse. I've said in the past that I'm not someone that usually plays this style of game, but since this was from the team that made the Danganronpa series, I thought I should at least give it a try. From what I've seen so far, you start off by playing as a young man named Haruto Higurashi, who at the start of the game jumps off a building and falls towards a parked car below, but to his surprise, instead of hitting the car, he wakes up on what seems to be a tropical island that looks like it's been abandoned for a very long time. But you're not alone on this island, since there are other people that have arrived in a similar way, and you soon learn that you're the last 8 survivors of humanity. Each of the 8 characters are haunted by their past sins, and as you play through, you start to unravel how the sins bind them together. The thing that keeps everyone going is a mission that's given to them by a mysterious TV show, which currently seems to be the only form of guidance that they actually have. This show usually gives them hints about their situation or goals that they need to achieve while they're on the island, but early on they're given one particular mission that starts to really set the tone for the game, and that mission was for them to create a clone. But the catch is, for that clone to be made, someone needs to die. This is something that's revealed very early on, but it's something I need to mention because it's pretty much the core of the game. But in Zanki Zero, the survivors are clones of their former self. Their consciousness and memories seem to be stored within a cross-shaped device that replaces their belly button. And if they die, they're replaced with a clone of themselves that retains the memories of their previous bodies. But when they're cloned, they reawaken as a child. Now, when the characters are children, they're physically weaker, so they can't carry around as many items as the older characters, and their combat stats are reduced. But the clones age really rapidly, so it won't take long before they're older and more useful to the group. But the rapid ages means that their lifespan is significantly shorter than a normal human, and as a result the survivors only have a lifespan of 13 days. Actions like changing floors in a dungeon will cause some time to pass for your characters, and if enough time passes they'll start to age and eventually die of old age. It's this cloning theme along with the survival aspects of the game that makes Zanki Zero a fairly unique RPG. As of right now, it doesn't really feel like the individual characters are special in any way, but it does seem like all of them have some kind of regret from their past that they're trying to keep hidden from everyone else. But the missions they're sent on and the dungeons you explore will end up forcing them to face up to their past sins. You explore the world in first person, moving around the environment one floor tile at a time. You'll come across objects that you can interact with, resources that can be used to upgrade the facilities on your island, or bits of equipment that you can give to your characters. You can have up to 4 people in your party, and their positions will come into play during combat. The party is separated between the front and back rows, as well as the left side and right side. The characters that receive damage will depend on which side the enemy attacks from. So if you're hit from the front characters will take damage. If you're hit from the left or right side, then those characters can take damage, and the same for being hit in the back. Characters that aren't in the main party are considered sub-members. They can't participate in combat or exploration, and their stamina won't decrease, but they can still hold items that you find while exploring, so your main members don't need to go over their weight limits. Now, unlike similar dungeon RPGs that I've played in the past, the combat in this game is in real time. Even if you're standing still and not taking any actions, the enemies will still move around and even attack you. But you can use normal and charged attacks to damage the enemy. Charging attacks can consume your stamina, which is one of the many things you'll need to keep an eye on while exploring. Stamina represents a character's energy and hunger, and once it runs out, your character's life will start to decrease. You can restore your stamina through eating, but your characters will need to use the toilet eventually after eating. And if the characters don't use the toilet when they need to, they'll get stressed, which will affect their stamina, making it more likely to decrease. But you can reduce their stress by making them drink. Okay, probably seems like a lot of mechanics that you need to be aware of, but just bear with me, we're getting there. If you want to recover your health, then you'll need to rest. But since you can be attacked if you're resting in a dangerous place, you'll need to find a safe spot to hide before resting. Resting is something that will consume your character's stamina too, so that means that you'll eventually have to feed them, and then they'll probably need to go to the toilet, but if the toilets are too dirty then they'll get stressed, which means they'll need to drink some water, but then one of your characters might get old and dies, and so you have to go back to base to revive them, but by the time you get there someone else is hungry. It does sound like a lot to manage, but honestly I haven't really had to think about it too much so far. But this could be something that could change as I get further into the game. Once you're done exploring, you can head back to your base to do some upgrading. Various facilities on the island can be created and upgraded to help with your survival. The extend machine is something you'll be using a lot, since this is what you'll be using to clone your characters. When you clone a dead character to bring them back to life, it will cost score points that you can get by killing enemies, or tokens that can be acquired from dungeons. At first it did feel like there was no threat from dying since you could just reclone yourself, but this isn't something you can do all the time since you'll need the required score points to revive them, and one of your characters needs to be alive so they can actually return to the extend machine. When cloning someone, you can resurrect them with buffs that are based on the way that they've previously died. So if your characters actually do die in different ways, it can be beneficial to them in the long run, but applying these buffs to them will cost more score than just cloning them normally. The warehouse is where you'll store all the materials and food you've gathered while exploring, so your characters won't have to run around with full inventories. The materials stored in the warehouse can be used in the kitchen to create food for the survivors to eat, and in the workshop to craft items and upgrade equipment. You can also create bedrooms that the survivors can use to recover health and stamina when sleeping alone, apart from one of the characters, but I'm pretty sure the story is going to explain the reasoning behind that one. And if you pair the characters up and make them sleep in the same room, their stamina would decrease, I wonder why, but both characters will receive a buff. Oh, and you can make a toilet so your characters can use the toilet. You can find toilets inside of the dungeons as well, but you probably want to upgrade the one that you've got in your base as well. All the facilities in the base can be upgraded to increase their effectiveness, but for all of them to be used effectively, the survivors will need to meet the necessary skill requirements for them. When the character levels up, they'll gain skill points that can be allocated to various skills. Some of these skills are for combat, some are for survival and gathering, and others are for the facilities on the island. Since the facilities can have building requirements that need a certain amount of points within a certain skill, you'll probably end up assigning roles to your characters. You could have one character that focuses on cooking skills, another that focuses on crafting and upgrading, and others that focus on general skills. So basically in this game you're going to be exploring dungeons to gather resources, then you'll expand your base and upgrade your character so you can continue to progress and unravel the secrets that the survivors have. I'm still fairly early into the game, I must say, but what I've played so far has been pretty interesting. The cloning is one of the most unique things about Zanki Zero, but at the same time it breaks the immersion when a character that the game tells you died of old age is right there in the next cutscene when they should be dead. Maybe it was already explained, or it gets explained in some way later into the game and I wasn't paying attention, but it did kind of pull me out of the experience when I first saw it happen. Honestly, it probably would be too hard to keep the story going without having the dead characters show up in the cutscenes, since it's not always certain which characters will be alive at any given time, but it is still a bit of a distraction, I gotta say. But for some strange reason, I guess out of all the dungeon RPGs I've played so far, this is the one that manages to keep my attention. And I'm not entirely sure why. It could be because the story is just really weird and I'm interested in seeing what happens to these characters. But I guess I'll play more and see if it keeps my attention for even longer. Alright, there was a Monokuma that was casually strolling around the island too, and I have no idea why he was there, he just was when I left the dungeon. I attacked him and he fought back, and I eventually killed him and he gave me lots of score points for doing it. So he's probably there as like a rare bonus enemy for extra loot or something. But yeah, this game's actually pretty interesting, and if this game did seem interesting to you as well, then there is a demo of it available. So I guess you could try that if you want to see what it's like. But that's all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to leave it a like. And if you want to watch more videos from me, then remember to subscribe and click that bell. If you want to view my live streams, then follow me over on twitch.tv/Havian. Follow me over on Twitter if you want to see when I'm going to go live, or just follow me on Twitch and you'll get a notification. But I'll be making some new videos very soon. But until I make those videos, I'll see you all later.